Okay, and as you can see on the screen, this program will be recorded and is being recorded now. By entering your consenting to your likeness, possibly appearing in the promotional materials for the Los Angeles Public Library. And if you do not wish to have your likeness appear in the recording, please keep your video or sound off. During the presentation, the video and sound will be disabled, but we will enable both features during the Q&A session if you're interested in speaking or appearing, okay? And so, oops, I'm in the wrong slide. So let's try it again. Okay. Okay, so again, this is our grand finale for 2022 NeiSci Tuesday series. We'd like to take some time to thank our Library Foundation and our behind-the-scenes staff for helping us bring these virtual programs together for you. Now on to our NeiSci Tuesdays. NeiSci, in case you wonder, is short for neighborhood science. Neighborhood science has many, many names. It's most commonly known as citizen science, but you will hear people say community science, crowdsourced science, contributory science, or even street science. It's basically research that conducted by non-scientists like you and myself, who I myself is really, really bad with math and science, but I am a citizen science or neighborhood scientist. So you don't need to be an A student in science or math, and you don't need to have a science background or degree. You just need to be very curious about everything around you, okay? NeiSci Tuesday is a weekly program series about learning and contributing to science and sustainable practices in and for your neighborhood. If today's program inspired you to become a neighborhood scientist, we have great news for you. We have 21 participating neighborhood science branches throughout the city of LA that have these neighborhood science DIY kits for you to check out and do these fun science activities at home or around your home. By doing these activities, you're contributing important data about biodiversity, water quality, air quality, light pollution, potential mosquito breeding habitats, and cloud formation you observe. And you're contributing them to the real scientific research developed by organizations such as NASA, NOAA, or California Academy of Science and National Geographic Society. Yep. And when your data will be able to help these researchers and scientists solve or seeking solutions for our climate change issues and many other environmental concerns we're facing today. And to find out more about these NeiSci branches, if there's one near you, you can go to our website, which is lapl.org/NeiSci/kits, or you can scan the QR code that's currently on screen. Yeah. All right, moving on to today's program. Rescue Wildlife, a virtual tour. Today's program is all about rescue wildlife. To be more specific, the wildlife rescue from illegal wildlife trafficking. And I did a research paper recently about wildlife trafficking, actually about in Indonesia, where trees are getting chopped off to plant more palm trees for palm oil business. And what I found out was a lot of these orangutans were actually being trafficked badly. And it was disheartening for me. And that's why I wanted to be the moderator for this program. I'm really interested in finding out how I can be a help to stop such things from happening. Now, our guest speaker will take us on a virtual tour, to meet many rescue animals in the Star Eco Station, an environmental science museum, exotic wildlife rescue center, and a haven for endangered and illegally trafficked exotic animals confiscated by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Short, I think their abbreviation is FWS. I always think like a forward service. I don't know why. You will also get an inside scoop on how wildlife trafficking is affecting Southern California and some of the most popular species that are found by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. You will also find ways you can help stop wildlife trafficking. We will have a Q&A session after today's presentation and tour. And after today's Q&A session, we will host our last NeiSci giveaway for this year's NeiSci Tuesday series. We will give away a very awesome, hopefully you guys can see because I have blur background. It is a very cool bag. I don't know, is it blurry?
No, it's good.
Okay, it's a map of LA Public Library. And you will also get a gift card, a $25 gift card for the library store. So, and you don't have to be near in LA to use that. So we can actually mail this to anywhere in the US. So if you are the winner today, if you stick around till the end, answer the question correctly, you can be the winner. All right. So I'm gonna moving on to introduce our amazing presenter who are on screen with us already right now. So first one is Mr. Danny Osborne. Danny grew up in Venice, California. As a youth, he spent hours in his grandparents' backyard catching insects and other invertebrates. And observing them sparked an interest in animals and nature. At the age of 5, he accompanied a friend and his father to capture and relocate a baby rattlesnake, and has been fascinated with reptiles ever since. Then he spent a majority of a summer in high school on an ostrich and emu, am I right? Okay, emu farm, giving him his first experience working with exotic animals. Upon graduating from high school, he embarked on the path of service, clearing and maintaining hiking trails in Ojai, California. When he was informed that the Star Eco Station was hiring, he jumped at the chance to pursue a career involving both wildlife and education. Working at the Star Eco Station has given Danny the opportunity to enrich the lives of countless animals and students throughout the years. Danny served as the zoology teacher at the Star Pep Academy for 3 years. In his spare time, Danny enjoys spending time with his family, hiking, tide pooling, and golfing. And our second guest here is Greer Darden. Growing up right outside Washington, D.C. in Prince George's County, Maryland, Greer always had a passion for animals. During undergrad, she worked for an aquaculture research center where she worked with fish, alligator, crawfish, and a wide variety of turtles. After graduating from Louisiana State University with a BS in Natural Resources Ecology and Management, concentration in wildlife ecology, Greer interned with the Catalina Island Conservancy's Education and Outreach Department during the summer of 2017. And after that, she relocated to Los Angeles County permanently. And Greer has been working with Star Eco Station for 4 years now, and she enjoyed going to the beach, hiking, and other outdoor activity, as well as spending quality time with her dog and friends. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Greer and Danny.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Hi. All right, so we are going to give you a tour of the Eco Station in just a minute, but first we want to introduce you guys and give you guys a little bit of background. So we do have a slideshow presentation that we are going to bring up.
So, as you've heard, Star Eco Station is a wildlife rescue center and children's museum located in Culver City. We're at 10101 Jefferson Boulevard, Culver City 90232, excuse me. Here's a picture of the front of our facility. Brief history: in 1997, Eric Bosey Sr. and Katia Bosey and their children, Eric Jr. and Katiana, founded the Star Eco Station in Culver City as a division of the Star Inc. program, working in collaboration with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services and other government environmental organizations. The Star Eco Station, we provide a last chance for illegal or abandoned at-risk exotic wildlife, as well as environmental education outreach programs in over 40 California school districts. Star Eco Station's our mission is preservation through education, and we carry out this mission every day by educating students and visitors to the Star Eco Station and community members about the preservation, environment, and independence of all living things, or excuse me, interdependence. Here is the Bosey family. We have Eric Bosey Jr. here, Katiana and Katia. These are the founders of the Eco Station. The Star Eco Station, we're an environmental science museum and haven for the endangered and illegally trafficked exotic animals. And we've grown tremendously since our start in 1997. And we're home to over 200 rescued animals from all around the world. And we do not buy, sell, or trade any animals. We receive animals through confiscations from the animal police or Fish and Wildlife Services, people surrendering their pets here on a weekly basis, and also through confiscations through law enforcement. Here is one of our Fish and Wildlife friends. This is Officer Brown. He comes to our camp every summer and talks about the illegal wildlife trade, not just living animals, but also, unfortunately, poached animals that have been turned into either decorations, clothing, or things of that nature. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, we are in contact with them nearly every single day, receiving confiscated animals from them and giving them a home here, and sometimes rehoming them if possible, if they're an appropriate pet. I'll let you take over, Ms. Greer.
All right, so like we said, a lot of our animals are victims of illegally trafficking and smuggling. Here are a few pictures that describe actually some of our kind of cases that we've actually kind of seen in person, as well as trafficking cases that are still going on all around the world. So for example, right here on this left side, there is a picture of a cobra that was actually smuggled in a Pringles can, as you guys can see. There are many different ways and different tactics that smugglers have grown and learned to be able to hide animals through traveling and through transporting them over across borders. So this is just one of the instances of how a snake might be transported, and something that's this small. As you can see, as you kind of can guess, a Pringles can, if it was closed, there is no air circulation. As many circumstances like that, it happens a lot with the animals. And unfortunately, because of that and because of the conditions that these animals are brought in, they do not always make it. This middle picture right here is actually a picture of a case that we were involved with, that the birds came to our facility. These are actually birds that were tied in little bags and attached to the person's socks underneath of their pants, so that they could try to get across the border, cross security without getting noticed. But obviously that they were caught. We did house the birds here. So this is an instance that actually we were involved with. Again, another kind of picture. This is another picture of a case that we were involved with as well. Tarantulas and smuggling of invertebrates is also just as common as smuggling of larger vertebrates or reptiles and mammals. So as you guys can see in here, there's a tarantula that's actually being shipped in looks like a used water bottle. And then a common tactic that we've seen actually in the past are straws. These are actually straws that are housing baby tarantulas. And then a lot of the time, even if they are not fully hatched, they will also transport spider eggs in those straws as well. And that is still illegal to be smuggling, and is still the same thing. It is not allowed and is not permitted by U.S. Fish and Wildlife or animal managers in the United States. Down here, this last picture is an actual native animal to United States and here in North America. This is called the eastern box turtle. These guys are not actually commonly trafficked in the United States, as they can be found here, but they are commonly trafficked out into other countries. So because they are seen as an exotic animal in other locations, they are commonly smuggled here in the United States and transported out and shipped to other locations as well. Right here, this is one of our animals, our long-term residents. This is Kaliki. She's a military macaw. These guys are native to South America, and they can live up to 80 to 90 years, almost 100 years. They have a very long lifespan. These guys in the wild would range about at least a 50-mile radius as far as their natural habitat would be concerned. But Kaliki, unfortunately, was one of our species and one of our animals that was trafficked herself. She was trafficked and brought into the United States in the side panel of a white paneled van. So someone actually detached the inside of a van, wrapped Kaliki up. They duct taped her wings to the sides and her beak down to her chest, so she really wouldn't be able to move or get herself free. And then they shoved her in a tube. Am I correct? Yes, a tube. So again, another reinforcement to make sure that she doesn't have any mobility. And then that tube was placed on the inside panel of a van, actually. So luckily she did survive. She made it. But like I said, a lot of these instances, the animals do not survive conditions like this.
80% mortality rate, or excuse me, fatality rate. So say you're smuggling 10 birds At best, you're probably going to have 2 birds that survive, unfortunately, but that's enough incentive for a smuggler to do this because they can make sufficient money off of those 2 birds and then go back and unfortunately do it again. This is Sketch. He's an American alligator. He was confiscated by Santa Monica Police Department. A person had him in a motel. They were being a nuisance later on at night, and one of the other residents of the motel called the authorities. The authorities showed up, and the man was pretty belligerent at this point and was not listening to them. And while they were speaking to him, they heard a rustling underneath his bed. And when they went to investigate, they found a probably around 7 to 8 inch long alligator in a shoebox underneath his bed. He was confiscated, and they were in search for a home for him. They reached out to a number of rescues, but they were unable to take him. So we were able to give him a home here at the Eco Station. He has now lived here for over 8 years and is no longer 6 to 8 inches long. He is much closer to 6 feet long at this point. We will be seeing him on our tour.
Awesome. So again, this is our kind of the goal of our program, not only to teach you guys and educate about our role in saving these animals from animal trafficking and illegal smuggling, but also to let you guys know some ways that you guys can help. Obviously, don't be a litter bug. A lot of our animals have come to us as victims of pollution, where they've either inhaled or been attached by something that has affected them negatively, their health. And then obviously they need some help at that point. So definitely reduce, reuse, recycle. Always put your trash in the trash can. Do your research. One of the reasons why we do get a lot of our animals is because people decide that they want a certain exotic animal as a pet. And they realize that either that they are unable to actually legally own them, or they are not fully responsible enough or do not know all of the details required to take care of fully of that pet. So definitely do your research, find out exactly what that animal eats, how much space it grows, how long it lives. We always say that an animal that grows bigger than you, lives longer than you, or can possibly eat you would not make a good pet at all. So another thing is leave it where you found it. Leave plants and animals where they are unless it is trash. So like I said, we do want to try to do our part and clean up our environment as much as we can. But ultimately, there are a lot of species that are smaller than the eye can actually see, that are illegally trafficked and brought or transported into areas where they are not naturally found through people, through their shoes, through their belongings. Boats are a big way that we can actually transport animals from one location to another and actually introduce a new species. It can be called an invasive species when that animal does take over a newly introduced place. And that's when it starts negatively, in fact, impacting the native animals and plants that live there. So definitely be conscious of when you're out in the wild or out in wild areas. Definitely check your shoes, check your belongings, and definitely try not to bring anything out of a natural environment and bring it into your home, because that is still transporting smaller animals that you might not even know that are attached to it. Beach and community cleanups. We are here in Los Angeles. There's miles and miles of beach coast that can be consistently cleaned up. And there's always a certain time and a place and somewhere a community connection that you can get in touch with a beach cleanup. If you don't have any or don't want any more information, you guys can let us know. We definitely always have different associations that can do beach community cleanups and get you in touch with information about that. Volunteer. Animal shelters and rescues. We actually, this is the kind of a thing that a lot of people don't know, but the only reason why we made it through COVID as being able to withstand and keep our animals here and keep them fed is that we had a number of volunteers, a number of people that were here, employees that we were not paying, but we're all here still working and taking care of these animals and making sure that they got the time and attention and need that they actually do need. So definitely, if you have some free time, volunteer at a parrot rescue, a turtle rescue. There's a lot of smaller rescues here in Los Angeles besides ours. If you are interested in volunteering here at the Eco Station, we definitely have more information about that as well. Again, another last thing is just to spread the word. Educate your family and friends when you get the opportunity. If you find out some new piece of information, try to share it with the closest people that you have to your family, because that always does make a difference. Even though it's a small differences do add up. So definitely these are small ways that we definitely keep close to our heart, and we wanted to share with you as well.
This is our Eco Station pledge. We pledge with the campers. Every Earth Day we take this pledge. So Earth Day was just the other day, and we have our pledge cards that we hand out to students in the public. The pledge is, I promise to protect the planet in everything I do. I promise to protect all living things. When I take, I promise to give back, and I promise to pass this pledge along. So we'd like it or love it if everybody could, do their part in passing on this pledge. It's words to remember and to definitely consider when you are thinking about our environment and the animals that live in our environments. We've got our recycle, reduce, reuse, and you can see here in the left-hand corner, this is actually one of our parrots, Ozzy, and he is recycling a soda can. And if Ozzy, a parrot, can do his part to recycle, I know we all can too. So Ozzy is one of our animal ambassadors that you'll also meet on our, nope, he's actually out for the day, but he is one of our animal ambassadors. And if, like I said, if he can do his part recycling, I know we all can do our part in recycling as well. Adopting, don't shopping is really, really important. Many animals are in need of a home, and it's absolutely not necessary to go to a pet store and buy an animal when there are plenty of animals out there that need good, loving homes. And we adopt out animals on a daily basis here at the Eco Station. We've got a picture of Pinky. He is one of our cockatoos that lives here at the Eco Station. We've got a picture of a ball python that was adopted a little bit ago, a picture of a mud turtle that was adopted, and Chinchilla, I believe this is Raider, who was adopted a little bit ago, and a bearded dragon. We only really adopt out animals here at the Eco Station that do make appropriate pets. The parrot is appropriate for some people, but for most people, parrots are not the best pets. Like Ms. Greer said just a moment ago, some parrots live upwards towards 90 to 100 years, and that is a huge commitment for most people. So for most people, parrots are not the best pet, but on occasion, if someone can show us that they are equipped and ready to give a parrot a loving home and have that time to spend with them, and also understand the longevity of this animal, we do sometimes adopt out our parrots as well. And then of course we've got the Madagascar hissing cockroach here, which is a very, very easy animal to care for and a great starter pet for many younger animal enthusiasts.
Yeah, you'd actually be surprised at how interested kids can get into invertebrates and bugs, not just the reptiles or the mammals. Bugs can actually make quite easygoing pets, and like Mr. Danny said, very good starter pets for younger children.
Here we have a picture of an animal that used to live in the Los Angeles Bay. This is a sea otter, but due to persecution for their fur, they are the furriest animal in the world, and due to that fact, they are actually the softest animal in the world. The only animal that would even compare in softness to a sea otter would most likely be a chinchilla, the second softest or furriest animal in the world. We see this word in the corner of the screen, extirpation. Extirpation is a really important concept. It's when an animal goes extinct in a certain area. So it is not extinction per se for a species, but it is extinction in a certain area. So the sea otter has been extirpated from the Los Angeles Bay. So around 100 years ago was the last sighting of a sea otter in our Los Angeles Bay, and that final sea otter was hunted. It's now illegal to hunt sea otters in California, and they are making a pretty incredible comeback. They used to only be able to be found as north as like San Francisco area, but in the past 15 years or so, they've actually come down south as far as Santa Barbara now. So they are making their way back to the LA Bay, which is a great thing because there is a sea urchin infestation going on right now in the Los Angeles Bay. They are really, really voracious when it comes to eating kelp. They just destroy Kelp Forest, which is a very unique biome in our Los Angeles area. And just due to the fact that sea otters love to eat these sea urchins, you can see in the image on the bottom left a sea otter getting ready to eat a sea urchin. The sea urchin population here has just kind of blown up. And a lot of people do enjoy eating uni, which is sea urchin sushi. But unfortunately, uni is only popular from these purple sea urchins, and they are starting to actually disappear from the LA Bay as well. And it's been taken over by this red sea urchin that sea otters love to eat, but unfortunately, humans are not a fan of them. So they continue to kind of take over the bay due to the extirpation of the sea otter.
And again, kind of just to touch back on what we can do and how we can impact illegal trafficking and moving animals from places that they shouldn't be. This is kind of a highlight. We should be paying attention to Los Angeles biodiversity, meaning the native animals that we can be found here. It's very important that native animals are given the proper space, the proper natural resources that they need so that their populations can survive as well. And when we bring in introduced animals and introduced species, that can definitely harm them in negative ways and actually decrease their population very quickly. So we wanted to highlight a few native animals that you guys may see around the California area. This is the California newt. They are one of the only native amphibians here in Southern California. This is a Garibaldi. Again, some of you guys may have seen them if you're a fan or a frequent visitor of Catalina Island. You can see them off the coast, and you can actually see them right down through the water. They're so bright that they just look like really big goldfish. We have the Myotis Bat.
Yep.
Myotis Bat is a native of Southern California as well. Mr. Denny,
this is a house centipede. If you've ever seen one, you've probably ran away or felt your skin crawl. They are a large predatory, they're not an insect, they're actually part of a group of animals known as myriapods, and they are actually beneficial. They do not seek out humans to harm us. They're mostly actually hunting small nuisance like insects and eating them. So please don't smash one or crush one if you see it. Help them outside if you find it inside your home, or if it's found outside your home, please just leave them alone. They're just doing their job, kind of controlling the insect population. And then finally here we have a barred owl, a newer species to California. They have since migrated in the past 5-10 years to the Los Angeles area. They were usually living east of California, but have made their way into California and into our forests here. So that's kind of a newer species that has become part of the very biodiverse biome of California.
And one other point is that if you guys have free time and want to research these native species, any native species in your area actually will give you an idea of what kind of environment they prefer. And you can actually change the gardening and the plants around your house to actually accommodate a lot of native species as well. A lot of people underestimate how many things they can do and how much of an impact they can do. But just catering to your native biodiversity is actually another thing that can be very beneficial as well.
Yeah, something as simple as just planting a milkweed plant in your backyard can attract monarch butterflies, which are, beautiful species of butterfly, and their primary source of food is milkweed. And just by planting a small milkweed plant in your backyard, you can help these animals in their yearly migration by giving them a spot to stop and have something to eat, but then you get the joy of seeing them hanging out in your very own backyard.
All right, you guys. So that is it for our slideshow. We're going to get going with a tour so you guys can see as much as possible. We're going to switch our camera really quickly, though. Want to make sure that we have our footage camera going. Second.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to get started this way. 1 second. If you guys give us a second. No, I just need this. All right, you guys. So just to give you kind of an outline, we're going to start in our fish room. So we're going to give you a nice pan view of our fish room really quick. So there's Mr. Danny. We do have a fish room, a reptile room, a bird room, and a mammal room. So this is an outline of our fish room. We do have freshwater fish as well as saltwater fish. And as you guys can see, we do not only have fish in this room, but we've also got a few other aquatic animals. Right, this is a soft-shell turtle named Cutter. Like I said, they are freshwater as well, so we include them with our freshwater fish in this enclosure. We've got a few other turtles in here as well. We're gonna pan over here to our biggest tank in the freshwater room.
So these are pacu fish. They're a fish that is native to South America. They live in the Amazon River and the Orinoco River. They look similar to piranha to you. It's not surprising because these fish are actually relatives of piranha, but unlike their carnivorous cousins, they are omnivores. So they'll be eating things like small fish, also amphibians, snails, but they're really, really into eating produce and nuts. So bits and pieces of nuts or produce will fall from the trees, especially while monkeys are eating. They'll go bite into a piece of fruit, take a look at that, see a bigger piece of fruit, toss it over their shoulder into the Amazon River, grab that big piece of fruit, start eating that, while these pacu are just chowing down on the leftovers from the monkeys. These fish have gained the reputation of being a tank buster fish because they can weigh upwards towards 60 pounds, and they're very, very powerful animals. So they've been actually known to swim and knock into the side of the fish tank and shatter the glass. So that's why our tank is made of this reinforced, almost bulletproof plexiglass to make sure that these fish aren't breaking out of the tank. Our two most famous pacu, we have Big Willie, who is our largest of all of our pacu and our oldest pacu. And then we also have Gil over here. Gil was placed in a tank with what's called brackish water. Brackish water is a combination of fresh water and salt water. His old owner was not well informed on where this fish should be, so put him in brackish water, and as a result of that, his gills turned inside out to try to absorb as much oxygen as possible. So you can see his gills here actually exposed. Once his owner realized that he was not doing very well, he brought him here to the eco station, and we have given him a home for over the past 15 years. Some of these pacu fish can live well over 30 to sometimes 40 years. So they're also kind of a long-term pet that doesn't really make sense when it grows to be as large as a salmon. I don't know anyone that keeps salmon as a fish, as a pet in their fish tank, so why would you keep a pacu? So we're gonna move along. We've got our cylinder tank right here. Our cylinder tank is home to some parrotfish, also a catfish. We have inside of here an Oscar fish. Oscar fish are a large species of cichlid. Cichlids are large predatory fish that eat smaller fish. Our Oscar's name is Pizza. He was named by some of our campers a few summers ago because he does resemble a burnt piece of pizza. Moving right along, we've got my favorite turtle that lives here at the eco station. This is Bob, and Bob is a common snapping turtle. The common snapping turtle is actually more aggressive than an alligator snapping turtle. Alligator snapping turtles look a little bit more menacing, but the common snapping turtle is actually known to be quite a bit more aggressive. And this is a great example of an invasive species that Ms. Greer was talking about. This animal is not native to California. If it were to get out into the wild, there's a good chance that it would start taking down animals that are supposed to be in that environment, and also out competing a lot of other animals for food and damaging the ecosystem due to that. So this is an illegal pet to have in California. Ecostation is permitted for any illegal animal, so that's why we're able to house our friend Bob here, the common snapping turtle. We're moving on to our marine side of our fish room. So all of the species that you will see now are all saltwater species from the ocean. So we've got inside this tank coming right up, we've got some silver moonies, also known as monofish. They are the silver fish. They're extremely, extremely fast. We also have a black and white hyanocus in our tank right here. This fish with the long dorsal fin. We also have a pufferfish in here. This is a dog-faced pufferfish. Fun fact about pufferfish is many of them do have chromatophore cells, which are color-changing cells, allowing them to change colors to express mood, but not only that, to camouflage in their environment. They are one of the most poisonous animals in the entire world. They have a number of organs inside their body that are extremely, extremely poisonous. So most animals do avoid eating them. If worse comes to worse, they are able to expand their body to about 5 times their normal size. This is a feat they're only able to perform about 4 or 5 times in their life before their body becomes so stressed out, they are no longer able to expand their body in that way anymore. Movie star tank. Inside of this tank, we do have some movie stars. We've got a couple of clownfish that we have dubbed Nemo and Marlin. And then you see Dory swimming right in here. She is a blue tang. So this tank also has lots and lots of coral. So fun fact about coral, it is one of the oldest living species of animal on our planet. Possibly the only older animal than coral would be SpongeBob SquarePants. The sea sponge is generally accepted as the first animal ever living on planet Earth, but coral is most likely the second animal to ever live on our planet. And unfortunately, it is being taken from our ocean at an alarming rate. And I don't know if any of you have had the chance to see Chasing Coral. It's an amazing documentary on Netflix, and it documents the decline of the coral population over the past 30 years in our seas. Coral is starting to finally make a bit of a comeback, but it is being taken from our oceans every single day. And it's a detriment to the environment there because many animals use the coral reef as a home, and it is actually the most biodiverse place in the entire ocean. So coral reefs are very, very important to the environment of our seas, and coral should not be taken from our ocean. We're moving right along. We've got another tank, and in here we've got a school of those silver moonies. We have another dog-faced pufferfish inside of this tank, and then kind of the star of this tank is our reef triggerfish. Triggerfish are smaller but very, very aggressive, fearless fish that will attack fish 20 times their size. They've got very sharp teeth and very, very agile swimmers. They've actually been known to attack scuba divers and snorkelers. They are, in fact, the state fish of Hawaii. And in Hawaii, they are known as the Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apua'a. That is the name for triggerfish in Hawaiian, which is a lot more fun than triggerfish. So we like to refer to our triggerfish as the Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apua'a. Moving right along, we've got our resident seahorse. This is an animal that was a confiscation from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services confiscated this animal from a smuggler. They were trying to bring him in illegally from the Australian Great Barrier Reef system, but they were apprehended by U.S. Fish and Wildlife and they were taken away. Can we see him on there?
He's all the way up at the top, so he's hiding.
We're searching for him.
He's right
there he is.
He's right there. He's just all the way up at the top.
All right, we're moving right along. Our next stop is going to be Mae West. Mae West is another one of our common snapping turtles. This snapping turtle, unfortunately, was found with a milk carton ring wrapped around her shell. This happened when she was much, much younger, and as a result, the milk carton ring stayed around her shell, and her shell grew around the milk carton ring. So this is a really, really sad scenario right here, but someone did find her in the wild and knew that she was not going to survive very much longer there. They were able to take her from the wild and bring her to a rescue. That rescue could no longer care for her, so we were able to give her a home here at the Eco Station. But this is a great example of why we need to be mindful and make sure our trash ends up in the trash can and our recycling ends up in the recycling bin, or animals like Mae West and other creatures could be the victims of pollution and people not considering what our actions can do to an environment. All right, we're moving right along, right through our kelp forest. This is the biome that I was talking about while we were talking about extirpation, an animal being extinct in a certain area or an environment. And the kelp forest is home to over 800 different species of animals, not to mention this wonderful, wonderful plant that we know as seaweed, but it's known as kelp as well. Kelp actually can grow 6 inches in one day. And kelp is an important ingredient in our daily lives because we use kelp for things like shampoo, toothpaste, ice cream, things like gummy bears. It is a bonding agent, so it keeps kind of things together and congealed. So that is an important ingredient in our daily lives for many, many products. That's why it's extremely important that we keep our kelp forests nice and clean, because if we don't, then we'll be eating things like gummy bears and ice cream that was growing in seaweed from trash and garbage. That's pretty disgusting right there. I'll take over for you, Miss Greer.
All right, you guys. So this is our mammal room. So we've got a few small mammal enclosures in here. We've actually got our nocturnal friends out here in this area. So we do have a sugar glider in this enclosure. He is a male. His name is Maddie. So there's a picture for you guys to see. We're not going to bring them out or disturb them because it's still their sleeping time. But we do end up being a last resort home for a lot of nocturnal animals because a lot of people think that they are really cute, really cuddly, and then they go to take them their nap or go to bed, and then they hear all the ruckus and all the noise while they're trying to sleep. So that is, again, one of the reasons why we tell people to do your research. Just because an animal is cute and you think that you would want to have it in your home does not mean that you guys live the same lifestyle and that you guys will get along that well. So again, we have our sugar gliders. In these 2 enclosures, we have our male and female chinchilla. This is right here is Walnut. We can give a little peek of him. He's being a little bit shy. Let's see. He's hiding in the back, but there's Walnut. Again, like Mr. Danny said, they are the second animal. They are the animal with the second softest fur, with the first one being the sea otter. So you can see Walnut down there. Give him his space. Again, as another person who had a chinchilla, these guys are really cute and cuddly, but they poop over 200 times a day. So again, research and do your schoolwork before you have to take an animal or bring an animal home. Oh yeah. So Mr. Danny is going to give us a better angle of our friend's sketch here. So he is our American alligator that you guys saw earlier in our slideshow. So we can give you an updated in-person view of Mr. Sketch and how he's doing today. He's getting to the point where he probably would definitely use an enclosure a lot bigger than one he has now. So while we're here with you guys, we want to give you guys a good look at Sketch and how well he's doing now. Oh, there he is. So there's Sketch. He's giving you guys a nice smile, toothy smile. He's under his hide, but like I said, he's been here since he was a baby. He's been working with Mr. Danny his whole life, basically. So Mr. Danny knows him very well, but you guys can take a peek at him under there. You can see his eyes right there. So he's about 6 to almost 6.5, 7 foot long. He does fit under his hide quite well, but he does have a pool in here as well, including his hide. So again, definitely not an animal you should want to have in your house.
Locking them up, friends.
Yep, making sure that our enclosures are super secure and nobody gets out. All right, so we're gonna move on through. So right here, actually, we get a good view of some of the products that we were actually given by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Just like you guys saw that slide with Mr. Brown showing the kids, these are all items that were actually brought into and smuggled into the United States through LAX airport. So these are still items that people will travel, buy, and then try to bring back into the United States. These are all products that were made or derived from an animal that is currently endangered or extinct, which is the biggest thing, let alone that these animals are being killed for these products. But there aren't that many of these animals left in the world in the first place. So these are still things that are going on. As long as people are willing to pay money, there are people out in the world who are willing to do these things and try to sell them. So we also stress to educate people as well as show them what the kind of things that you do not want to buy versus some of the false or faux souvenirs that you can buy and get from as a souvenir instead. Right here you see Lulu. Lulu is our bobcat. She is actually one of our more popular animals here at the Eco Station. She's looking at the camera, so she's giving it a nice sniff over. Lulu was actually brought here when she was around 2.5 years old. She was smuggled out of the wild, not by a poacher, but by a average human being who figured that when Lulu was just a little kitten, they thought that she was either abandoned by her mom or that she definitely needed somewhere safer to go, as opposed to being found in the middle of the woods in Texas. So this person brought Lulu home. They decided to raise her as a house cat. And it wasn't until Lulu tried to go to the vet, they tried to take Lulu to the vet, they realized that no, this is not a domestic house cat. This is a wild bobcat. They are native to North America, and they can be found as far south as Texas into the East Coast, as well as spreading here into Southern California. But like I said, they are not animals that you want to have in your home. Lulu is very nice. She loves to be snuggled and loves to play, but she has really big claws and a lot of power behind it. So she is still an animal that you would not want to have in your home and is illegal to own in California as well. Some states do have laws that are a little bit tricky. The ownership laws for exotic animals or for animals in general do go by state. So like I said, Lulu was found in Texas, where there are very little laws against having wild and exotic animals. But luckily, Lulu was taken to a vet who knew better and was very responsible, and was able to take her from that home and give her a proper enclosure. Unfortunately, Lulu cannot be released back out into the wild, mainly because she was raised in captivity. So that is one of the dangers of removing an animal from the wild, because she didn't grow up learning how to survive in the wild and learning how to survive on her own, she will be forced to be in captivity for the rest of her life. Luckily, we have this gorgeous room for her. This room that we've actually been able to curate for her is actually the legal size, minimum legal size for a large tiger. So we tried to give her the maximum space here at our Eco Station. Again, you guys can see that we've got lots of levels, different levels. She does like to jump. She can jump up to 6 feet high from a standing point. Lots of hiding areas, as well as a nice carpet on the ground. When we first got her, we figured we would try to put her on different levels, but she was very used to carpet from the house. So we kept her on carpet here at the Eco Station. All right, so we're gonna peek over at our other large mammal. He is a little bit older, not as active. This is Zeus. He is a red fox. However, if you guys can see, he is not red indeed. He's actually a dark gray. He's a little older, so he is graying from age, but that is not the reason why I have his coloring. He is what we call a melanistic red fox. So melanin is the chemical in our body that addresses how much coloration we have or how dark our pigment is. It affects our eye color, our hair color, and our skin color. And melanistic animals just have a little bit more in their DNA. They are completely darker, as opposed to an albino or a lunistic animal that has lack of pigment or lack of melanin. So Zeus is a red fox. He did come to us from another rescue, but a lot of the other foxes in the rescue was a specific fox rescue. They were a lot younger than him. And as you guys can see, he's quite getting up there in age. He's a little bit of way older than Lulu is. And he just tends to nap for most of his days. So he's just kind of hanging out there. He just probably finished his actual breakfast just now. So he's waiting for maybe, there he is. There he is.
Hi, Zeus.
All right, yeah, so we try to keep him comfortable as much. We try to switch around his enclosure as much as possible, but also trying to keep in mind that he is getting older and that we don't want to stress his joints out too hard. Coming into our next room is our reptile room to give you guys a nice view. We've got several enclosures in here. Again, this building was designed to look like a Mayan temple, was swallowed up by a jungle. So you guys can see some of our architecture and a lot of the design that went into this room to make it look very ancient, and that we have stumbled upon the natural habitat of a lot of these animals. So I'm going to give the camera view to Mr. Danny. We're going to pan over him. He is going to bring out one of our largest, actually our top largest animal here in the ecostation. Most people, oh, okay, perfect. Well, most people do assume that Zeus and Lulu are our largest animals, but that is not true. We do have Samson. Samson is a Burmese python. Now, just to give you a little bit of a history, Burmese pythons are one of the third largest species of snake in the entire world. They can grow several feet in length as well as in girth. So there's a lot of species that are longer than Burmese pythons and a little bit thicker than Burmese pythons, but these guys are big and thick. So if you guys want to take a look, that is Miss Samson. She's curled up. Danny's giving you guys a up close personal look of her. Let's see if we can find, there is her head. Look at her. There is Samson. A lot of people do not like snakes because they are creepy. They think that they're really slimy, that they are just, sometimes it's a lot of the movement that they do. But there are also people that love snakes. So it can be kind of, what do you call it? Some people that we do get, some of the snakes that we do get were from snake collectors. So once people start getting snakes, so they'll commonly get either a ball python or a corn snake, and then they'll try to go up. But obviously, there is a limit to how many or how big of a snake you can get. Samson is not an animal you would want to have in your house. I also see that somebody commented they are destroying the Everglades. They are a species that have become invasive in the Everglades.
It's not their fault.
And it's not their fault. Thank you, Mr. Danny. That is because people are taking these animals, keeping them as pets, realizing how big that they can grow, and then releasing them into the Everglades when they don't think that they want to take care of them anymore. All right, so we're going to show you a few of our other animal friends. This is Bullwinkle. He is a bull snake. He's hiding under his hide, but you guys can see actually that tiger stripe that's on his tail. He's got a beautiful pattern that does change throughout his body. These guys are native to North America. Down there is a Taiwanese beauty rat snake. They are native to Taiwan. That is Wesley. So she's taking a nap. A lot of the time, this time in the afternoon, a lot of our reptiles are relaxing. They've eaten already. And they're enjoying the optimum heat in the day. This is Goldie. She is a jungle carpet python, and they actually did get their name from their pattern. They thought that they looked like a very expensive rug or a very expensive carpet, and that is how they got their common name. Up here are our Rhino Iguanas. So we've actually got 3 in this room. So we've got our smallest is Hippolyto. We've got Hurley as our second. And then there's Saul, who is the biggest right in the middle, who has his eyes closed, if you guys can check those guys out. So they are a lot stronger, a lot bigger. Most people are familiar with green iguanas, but these guys are, as you guys can see, they're called Rhino Iguanas. They've got those lumps on the top of their head, and that is why they are named that. That's where they get that name from.
These iguanas were stolen from the wild and confiscated by U.S. Fish and Wildlife and given to us to care for. We've had them now for about 5 years.
Yep. All right. Yep, we've got Skinkerbell. This is our blue tongue skink. This is another species that's actually a very good common pet. But again, they do live for quite a few years. So a lot of times people want to get lizards that only last 2 to 5 years, but these guys can live upward to 15 to 20 years. So again, another reason why to do your specific research. They're really good pets, but you also want to make sure that you can take care of that animal for the rest of their life. All right, one little peek at another one of our animals that were smuggled. This is Ariel, the red-footed tortoise. That's her head right there. You guys can see she's taking a nap as well. But these guys were she and her counterpartner, Sebastian, were given to us by U.S. Fish and Wildlife. They were being brought to the island of Hawaii. A lot of people don't know that when you are transporting animals to islands, there are a lot of restrictions because island ecology is so different from mainland ecology. This is Scrambles. He's one of our yellow-headed water monitors, and he was actually another animal that was smuggled, brought to us by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in one of the biggest cases of animal smuggling history, actually. It was called Project Jungle Book, and Scrambles himself was actually smuggled and brought in an empty speaker. So if you guys can imagine one of those large speakers that they have at conferences or at concerts that stand up and bigger than a person, that is exactly what kind of speaker that Scrambles was in. They emptied out the speaker and they tied up some water monitors and stuffed them inside. Scrambles was one of those. One last guy who we can see, this is Dodger. He is called a monkey-tailed skink or a prehensile-tailed skink. These guys are another animal that are island natives. They are from the islands of Southeast Asia, but they are also endangered from their natural environment, but they are also very well known and popular in the pet trade and the pet industry as well. So a lot of times you guys can see these for sale. They are smuggled consistently so that they can be sold into the pet trade. The Dodger's taking a nap right there too. There we go. Again, we've got quite a few tarantulas. They're another common popular one that we get smuggled. These are actually 10 spiders that we got right before COVID. We got all of them together. So there are a variety of species, but these are 2 of our Brazilian Costa Rican zebra tarantulas. And then the second one down here is a Brazilian white-kneed tarantula. All right. One last animal that we want to show you guys while she's out and about. This is Charlene. She is a Florida king snake. And one thing about king snakes, they can be found kind of all over the world, really, but they do actually also eat other snakes. So any snake with the name king snake in it or king in it, they are, what do you call it when they eat other animals?
Cannibals.
Cannibals. They can eat other snakes and they will feed on other snakes as well. All right, you guys. So before we head into our bird room, we're gonna head that way, but we're gonna give you guys a premise because once we get inside, it's gonna be very loud. They usually try to call for attention once we get inside, so we're not gonna try to fight them. We do have about 22 parrots. I'll have Mr. Danny go ahead forward with a little bit of the camera so you guys get to see while I still get to talk. These guys that you're looking at right now are Mallee Indian. These are Mallee parakeets. They are from Australia, and we actually get a lot of our parrots because they live so long, and a lot of the time the owners do pass away or unable to take care of them physically before they do pass away, before the pets pass away. So we've got a wide variety. This is Pinky. He is one of our Moluccan cockatoos. And right behind him is his partner, Cracker. They actually did, so Pinky is a Moluccan cockatoo and Cracker is an umbrella cockatoo. And they did have a baby named Romeo. He was a hybrid. And luckily, Romeo was able to be adopted out and adopted to one of our staff members. So he's actually doing really well at his new home, but his parents are still here. They will most likely be here for the rest of their lives. Down here is KD. KD is a military macaw. As you guys can see,
Hola.
I guess we'll keep going through. This is Ruby,
Hola.
Ruby and Donatello. They do speak Spanish.
It's a madhouse in here. Kaliki, our military macaw. Here is Ned, he's a Gende conure. A lot of people think that if they get a smaller parent, that they're going to be quiet. Not so much. They're very loud. Okay. Hi, Blanca.
So this is Blanca. Blanca actually lived her whole life here at the eco station. She was one of the first animals that came here. Our founder, Eric Bosey, one of our founders, Eric Bosey, was able to hatch her egg after they found the eggs being smuggled. So he incubated and hatched her egg, and she has lived her whole life here at the eco station. She's given us a nice little dance. She loves attention, so she's dancing for the camera today. This is Herbert.
Someone doesn't like the camera.
There he goes. Herbert is a sulfur-crested cockatoo, and he was actually abandoned at a vet's office. The owner could not take care of the vet bills. That's the other thing that we want to also point out. Exotic animal vet bills are a lot more expensive than domestic animals or cats and dog vet bills. So a lot of people underestimate how much money it takes to actually take care of an exotic animal and also fully give them the attention and the health attention that they need. There's DJ. He is a dusky-headed conure, and he was actually someone's pet before he got married. DJ was so attached to his owner that he did not like his owner's new fiance, so he actually started attacking his fiance. So that's when they had to unfortunately part. This is Buster. Buster has actually also been here for a really long time. As you guys can see, he's lost a few of his feathers. It is a term that we call overplucking. So some of his feathers are growing back in. As you guys can see, the softer, fluffier feathers near his chest and under his arms. But a lot of the time, sometimes if these birds overpluck too hard or if they pluck their feathers too consistently, they do not grow back. And this is Paradise. Right here is Dave. He's giving a nice eye to the camera. And Dave is usually kind of shy, but I think he's actually
He's interested in the camera.
into the camera.
Hi,
Dave is an African gray, and they actually have the largest vocabulary of any parrot species, and that's what they're known for. And Dave kind of brings that to life because he knows more words than any other bird here at the eco station.
He's a good boy.
All right, so we're gonna head out into the hallway so you guys can actually hear us a little bit better. Maybe check on some of our animals that are out here. Everyone's kind of taking a nap. Right here, this is Dragon. He is a red tegu. And Dragon actually was a previous pet. But unfortunately, what happened was that the boy went in one day to play with him. Dragon assumed that he was getting fed. Long story short, Dragon tried to bite the little boy's hand, or what the boy thought was happening. And he was scared of going back in Dragon's enclosure. So he was very young. So his mom really wanted to get him a nice pet. Tegus can be very good pets. But again, for a large carnivorous or an omnivorous animal like they are, they do take a little bit more attention, a little bit more time, and they are not what we would consider a children's pet. All right, Yes, he is also very old, so he does like spending most of his time napping during the day. All right, you guys. So that is the end of our tour. 1 second while we just set up and switch our camera back. All right, you guys. So we are back. That is the end of our tour. Thank you so much for being with us. And we are ready for questions. We don't want to hold you guys much longer.
Yes, thank you so much. That was some very informative, very interesting tour. That I am always blown away by all the animals that people trafficked in, and how well you guys are cared for them. So thank you so much. And we do now. That's moving on to the Q&A Q&A session. If you have questions, please go ahead and using the Q&A button on your menu bar, and you can go ahead and add your question there. Or if you want, you can put it in the chat. But it's always easier for us to spot the question if you use the Q&A. So I'm going to start with the Q&A. And so we have Rainy Wood here asking, can these rescue animals be sent back to their natural habitats?
Most of them, the answer is unfortunately no, due to the fact that they would require a 40-day quarantine period from their point of origin. So repatriation, as it's referred to, is extremely expensive, unfortunately. And in addition to that, they would have to go on an airplane flight, and they would have to have sufficient enclosure and food and water for the journey. So most of the time repatriation is not an option for us. Whenever it is, we do try to obtain the funds or raise funds for it, but it is extremely rare that an animal ends up being repatriated.
I see. Okay, and thank you for that one. So Rainy asked like 3 questions, but let's get to Andrew's question first. Is the alligator ever aggressive? Also, I read in Nat Geo, the bobcats are usually nocturnal, but your cats seem to be wide awake. Is that a result of conditioning by its previous owner?
I'll let you answer that.
So I smiled at that question because I actually recently did a research project on wild bobcats. Based as a community science research program. So one of the things that I actually found out because of my research program is that that is a very common thing that most people assume, that bobcats are nocturnal, that certain animals that are nocturnal will definitely not be seen in other times of day. But actually during COVID, when everybody was in their house and everybody was off the streets, there was an extremely high amount of bobcat sightings, specifically outside during the morning and dusk, which we call, if an animal is active in morning and afternoon, it's called crepuscular. So there was an extremely high rate of animals, or bobcats specifically, that were seen in morning and evening times and out during the day as well. So they are very secretive animals. So that is probably the majority reason why they do prefer to travel at night. Another reason is probably most likely because Lulu was raised in a home, and she was ever since been on kind of like a time clock very similar to humans, that she is way more active during the day as opposed to nighttime. But the other thing is as I've worked with her, as long as I've worked with her, she is way more active, like I kind of said, based off of kind of the same with my research project, way in the early morning and then the late afternoon. So crepuscular, like I said earlier. So it is way common that people think that they're nocturnal, but they are way more crepuscular as opposed to nocturnal.
Awesome. That's good to know. So we have another question from Sriram. Which animal was the one that was tied to men's socks? I guess it was from the photo earlier.
Yeah, those were what's called shama thrushes and magpie robins. So the whole purpose for them being brought here to the States, they're normally from Indonesia, Southeast Asia area. They will fight to the death, much like male roosters will fight to the death. So they were being brought here, unfortunately, for an illegal bird fighting ring. And they were smuggled here by a man that had them wrapped and then tied to his socks. Someone on the flight saw fecal matter, poops, if you will, falling from his garments, his clothing. and they notified someone on the plane, and when they landed, Fish and Wildlife were there ready to apprehend this smuggler.
Glad that the birds left trails. Otherwise, we would never catch them.
Not known.
Yes. Next question from Allison. What animal is the one that has the name dragon?
He is a red tegu. So those are a large lizard originally from Argentina, but they have entered the pet trade and have become quite popular because they are very smart. Similar to monitor lizards, like we showed you scrambles, they can be trained, and they can be trained to come when called. They can recognize their owner space. And because of those reasons, people have kind of gotten attached to them and really liked them as pets. Dragon, like I said, was a previous pet. They are legally able to be bought through the pet trade. And when they're babies, they're only about this big. So they grow very fast and pretty big. But as you guys can tell, like if you're in a pet store and you see a little baby tegu, you only need a tank that's this big for a first few months. And it's very common that they get bought as when they're younger and then released out into the wild actually is more common now than once they're older and full grown.
Okay, we have tons of questions here. Okay, so from Bobby, how many words does the average parrot know?
Most parrots can learn upwards towards 200 to 300 words. Most of them are just repeating what they've heard, where African grays can learn 1,000 words in any language and actually can distinguish what certain words mean. For example, if you were to hold up a blue cube and hold up a red cube and you ask them which one's red, they will touch their beak to the red cube. So they're actually able to distinguish what certain words mean, where most parrots are just saying things, repeating them. And they're very intelligent animals in general. They'll start to kind of realize that they get attention for saying certain things, and then they're more prone to repeat those things that they're receiving attention or food for.
Good to know. How many animals do you currently have in the eco station?
Over 200.
We do have over 200, and we say over 200 consistently because of our fish room. We have a plethora of fish, and then we also do include our corals as well, as they are live animals. Like I said, to give you guys a background, we have about 32 snakes, 22 birds. We've got 9 restricted species, or large or animals that technically can't go out. And then we've got a variety of small lizards, geckos, and other invertebrates as well too. Tropical fish. In each tank, we've got about 10 fish in some of our tanks. So it multiplies that way, including the pocket behind us.
So all of you who from the tour, you've only seen the iceberg of the eco station.
Yes. We just showed you guys on our display rooms. We do actually have an overflow room where we keep some of our animals that do need a little bit more attention or are a little bit more sensitive to being on display, as well as our quarantine room for all of our new animals that come in.
Got it. Now, how big do the bobcats get, and how much do they eat each day? Can you also feed them with regular cat food?
I'll answer part of that question, and then I'll let Greer answer because she knows better than I do. Bobcats, they range in size depending on their habitat. So a lot of the California or Los Angeles bobcats you'll see will be considerably smaller than Lulu. Some bobcats from Texas or more middle of the United States tend to be a little bit larger. You see a little bit of kind of urban dwarfism going on with the bobcats here in Los Angeles, less resources, less places to hide. So they're going to be a little bit smaller. But as you head in towards more of middle of the United States, you'll tend to see quite a bit larger bobcats.
And as far as her diet, Lulu eats a range between 510 to 570 grams of what we call Nebraska, or feline Nebraska. It is an exotic animal blend that also gets serviced, and the zoos will feed their exotic animals as well. And it's not just ground beef or hot dogs or anything like that. It's a meat log is what we call it. It's a blend of the meat, the tendons, the bone, the cartilage, everything that she would need and get from an actual carcass that she would get from the wild.
Delicious.
Felines are strictly carnivorous, so they do need high protein diets. We'll give her some time, we'll switch up with pieces of chicken, but chicken does tend to be very high in fat. So we'll use that more of a treat for her. It kind of just to switch up her diet every now and then. But she also cannot get cat food, so that's the other thing. Yeah,
We gotta remember
don't
that.
want to feed any exotic animal, any pet food that you would feed your cat or dog. That also doesn't digest the same way. They don't get the nutrients the same way. Domestic food is made for domestic animals.
We have a question from Jimmy. Do you help them mate and reproduce, I guess, descendants, especially for those rare and endangered species from other continents?
It's a very good question.
Not at our facility. We do not have a breeding program here, but however, we have sent some animals here that are endangered, threatened, vulnerable species, if you will, to breeding programs at other facilities, and they have worked out well. But here at the Eco Station, we do not promote any breeding of our animals here.
We're already limited on space, and we always get a constant influx of animals. So we try to keep our space and preserve our space for the animals that need homes, as opposed to creating more that would potentially need more homes. So.
Thank you. So we continue to have questions flowing in, and we're running out of time here. So I'm gonna save those questions, email them to you, and I'll let you know who they are. You can answer them directly. So we're gonna move on to our next section, which is the giveaway. So yeah, we're actually 20 minutes behind our schedule. So yeah. So let's do that, and let me bring up my screen real quick so we know the rules for our games here. And Danny and Greer, I hope you already have a question in mind that you are going to ask.
Yes.
Okay, so let me bring this up, and I'm gonna move forward with my screen here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so now is our NeiSci giveaway time. And so our presenter is going to ask you all one question from the presentation today or the tour. After they announce the question, I will count to 3. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3. If you know the answer, please use the raise hand button on the menu bar. If you are the first one to raise your hand and answer the question correctly, you will be rewarded with our prize today, which is the LAPL map tote, reusable tote with a $25 gift card from our library store. And this is limited to the participants in the US. So I am wondering if everyone is ready. If you are, please do not have your hands up right now, because that's considered cheating, and you will be disqualified. So please keep your hands down virtually. And let's have Danny and Greer ask that question.
Please provide a brief definition of the word extirpation.
Ooh, okay, no, put your hands down, put your hands down. I'm gonna count to 3, put your hands down. Now, here we go. Greer and Danny, please help me keep an eye on the participants list, if you can click on that. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna count to 3, and you're gonna raise your hand. Okay, 1. No, Marcia, your hands. No, M.O., your hands need to be down. I haven't counted to 3 yet. Okay, I'm gonna lower your hand for you. Okay, 1, 2. No, M.O., you're cheating. We're gonna be here till 6 o'clock. If you don't follow my rule here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, same time. I have Marcia and Andrew come up at the same time.
I saw it, yeah.
So let's go with Andrew. So Andrew, I'm gonna unmute you, and I'm gonna allow you to talk, and you can tell us the answer. Go ahead. Are you there? Can you unmute?
His mic doesn't work.
Oh, okay. You can type the answer in the chat. Go ahead and type your answer in the chat. We'll take that too. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'll accept
Yay! All right, congratulations, Andrew. So what you're gonna do is you are going to email me, and my email address is vbird@lapl.org. And you're gonna email me your mailing address, and we will be mailing you the tote and the gift card. You can use the gift card going to our library store website, and you can choose whatever you want. And there will be a code you just need to enter, and they will send you your whatever goodies that you choose to have. All right. Okay, so let me go back here 1 second. Don't leave yet. We have a couple more things to announce. All right. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, so thank you all for participating in today's giveaway. We hope you have fun with our giveaway, and now our program is coming to an end. Thank you, Greer and Danny, for the wonderful and informative presentation. You know, if you live in Los Angeles, you are truly fortunate to be living in one of the 36 global biodiversity hotspots in the world, with so many amazing and precious wildlife and plants surrounding us. We really hope today's program inspire you to join us in protecting our biodiversity and practicing the tips you learned from Danny and Greer today to help us, to help our precious wildlife protecting their habitats and be their voice. And now, if you have some time this weekend or anytime during the summer, anytime throughout the year, please make sure you go visit Danny and Greer at Star Eco Station, and all the wildlife there, they will be looking forward to see you, okay? And you will not be disappointed. You will learn so much, and you will really, really appreciate all the amazing wildlife we have on this planet. Now, before I let you all go, I have one last question for you. Could you please tell me one thing you discovered or you learned from today's program? Just type it in the chat. We just want to know, what have you learned? Our program is always intended for you to learn something, to walk away with something that sticks in your head, and you will think about it long after the program. Okay. And also, we want to let you know that we will be sending today's program's recording, and also if there's additional resources, and also the slide deck our presenters use, to your email. So you can check out the email. If you're interested in watch the recording again, we will send you the link. Okay. Thank you all again for being here with us today, and we will see you again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Greer.
Thank you.